What's good, everybody? It's Joe, and I come back at you with another video. So for this video, I wanted this one to serve as a reminder to be proud of your work. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Whatever it is that you're creating, whatever it is that you're putting forth and making a reality, you should be proud of that. Don't let the naysayers or other people discourage you, right? If it's a good idea, if it's something that you wanted to do and you put one foot in front of the other and made it happen, you should be proud of your work. Now, I love giving you guys examples because I feel like it's a lot easier to understand and follow along when I provide an example. And, an example that I want to throw at you guys is, let's just say you're making t-shirts, right? You're in the business of making clothing and you're starting off with t-shirts. I don't care if it's the worst design ever or if you just didn't know what you're doing, but somehow, some way you managed to create the end result of making your own very first t-shirt. Be proud of that. The reason why you want to be proud of that is because you also want to keep in mind that a lot of times when people start things or when they do things for the first time, it usually doesn't come out that good, right? Because a lot of the experience and the expertise and everything comes, of course, experience comes through trial and error, and it comes from doing the same thing over and over and over, and you improve over time, you get better over time. It's very unlikely for your very first product to come out perfect, or for someone to do something for the very first time and for it to be perfect, right? A lot of times you're going to make mistakes. A lot of times things may not go as planned, or they may be detours or all these things. But at the end of the day, it's important for you to feel proud of your work because that's what you created. That's what you had in mind, the picture that you had in your mind, the imagination that you were able to put down and make it happen. So even if we go to t-shirt example, even if it's not the best looking t-shirt, be proud of your work. Be proud of that. Be proud of that, because there's one thing that you can guarantee if you so choose, and that's to have yourself in your own corner. And it's super important to put things in perspective too, because if, let's just say, for example, you wanted to build up the clothing line into a global business, right? Say if we use any of the global clothing brands, right? Say if we use Nike, if we use, I don't know, Louis Vuitton, if we use Polo, Ralph Lauren, right? Any of these brands, it doesn't matter. I don't really care the brand. If we use any of those brands, at some point, the brands, all of these brands, these global brands that we see everywhere, at some point they started with their very first t-shirt, with their very first product. It always starts from the beginning. And that's with everything. So this is why you want to be proud of your work, because each of those companies, it started with one person or maybe multiple people that had the idea in their mind, and they were able to create that first product and just continue pushing forward. So doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter if it's your very first YouTube video and the quality is 240p and the audio is not that great. Be proud of your work. Be proud of that, because in due time, it's inevitable for it to get better and improve, and that you're going to be learning along the way. And you don't want to judge yourself, because you're your own best friend, and you should be rooting for yourself and be in your own corner the entire time, because you know that is inevitable for you to grow and improve, and for whatever product, whatever it is that you're creating, for that to get better and improve over time. So once again, doesn't matter if it's with t-shirts, it doesn't matter if it's with a YouTube channel and you're starting off and you're not getting any views. It doesn't matter if you're trying to start your very first business, and whatever it is, you just want to make sure that you are happy with what you are creating, because that's what's going to propel you forward. I'll actually bring up a story, and it's funny because I came across this video literally this morning. It comes from Stan Lee. So this is the guy who created Spider-Man and many of the other superheroes that we know today, right? The Marvel guy. So it was a video. He was basically delivering a lecture, I guess, to a classroom. I think I want to say they were probably like college students. And he said that he had written out a long speech, and then he realized that it probably wasn't even that interesting. So he just completely scrapped the speech and decided to just show up and just share whatever it is that he had on his mind and his heart to the students, because he felt that that was what's going to be most beneficial. So he explained the entire story of how Spider-Man came about. And so he said that he was working for his company at the time, that he helped create some of the superheroes at the time. And he was told by his boss that they needed to create another superhero. And he understood that when his boss asked him for something, like in the case to make a new superhero, that he needed to deliver because his job was on the line. And so he remembers going back home that day. And while he was at home, brainstorming, thinking of different ideas for, how he could create a new superhero, like what that new superhero would be, he saw a fly on the wall. And so he began thinking, wow, like, wouldn't it be cool to have a superhero that can, climb and crawl across the walls? So that was the initial idea that he had. And so he began throwing out different names for the superhero. So he first thought of Flyman, and then he thought of Mosquito Man, and those two didn't really, sound that good. Then he thought of Spider-Man. And when he first thought of the name Spider-Man, he felt that it was like very dramatic, and so he enjoyed it. And beginning on that, he wanted to keep building on it. So in his mind, he envisioned Spider-Man being a teenager. He said, why not make Spider-Man a teenager? And why not give him personal problems, like situations and problems that normal people have, to make him a more relatable superhero? So he had those ideas in mind. And so the next day he went back to, his company, and he presented the idea of Spider-Man to them. And so his boss looked at him and basically shot down his idea and said it was the worst idea that he's ever heard, because first and foremost, people hate spiders. They don't like spiders. So why would you ever create a superhero named Spider-Man, right? It's just asking to fail. People already don't like spiders as it is, and people have phobias of spiders. The second idea he tackled, he said, well, superheroes can't be teenagers because teenagers are sidekicks. If you're trying to make Spider-Man a teenager, then that already defeats the purpose of him being a superhero, because he should be a sidekick. He shouldn't be like a teenager shouldn't be a superhero. And then the third idea that he shot down was that Spider-Man can't have personal problems that, you and I, the average person, has, because then that defeats the purpose of him being a superhero. Superheroes are supposed to be above that. They're supposed to be concerned about saving the world, not concerned about their own personal lives and the different things that's going on in their normal lives. Like, that isn't really a superhero. That's just kind of like a regular person with powers. So, of course, this was when Stan Lee was young. So his employer completely shot down the idea of Spider-Man and said it was one of the worst ideas he'd ever heard. So because of this, of course, Stan Lee was disappointed, but he still enjoyed and liked his idea of Spider-Man. So he simply said that the company had a newspaper that was essentially going out of business. They were going to discontinue the newspaper. So usually in like the last edition of the newspaper, right, that gets released, most of the time people don't really pay any mind. So he decided to just release his Spider-Man idea in that magazine edition, because he just wanted to get it out his system that he created this new superhero, and that he wanted to just put it out there just for his own satisfaction, right? He's not expecting anyone to ever see it, because this is the end of the magazine. Like, this is the last release of the magazine before it ends. So it gets released, and nothing much really stems from it. However, not too long after, he gets a phone call from one of his partners, and they basically said, hey, that new superhero, Spider-Man, we love him. Let's make our own TV series with Spider-Man. let's make a show based on Spider-Man. And after that, the rest is history. And now Spider-Man is literally a global phenomenon, global superhero, and one of the biggest attractions on the planet, right? And so Stanley proceeds to tell everyone, in the lecture hall, if you have an idea, if you feel good about it and you enjoy it, don't listen to idiots. Don't listen to other people who might want to shoot down your idea, because your idea, if you have a good feeling about it, if you like it and you think it's a great idea, then by all means go after it, pursue it, because you don't know where it can take you, right? And if it's a good idea, then it's something that you should be excited about, that you should be passionate about. And when you have that excitement and that joy and that passion that's behind you, it's literally pushing you forward. That's when you're able to produce your best work, when you're inspired, when you're excited, when you're having fun, when you're doing what you enjoy. So this is why you should be proud of your work, and you should focus less on other people's opinions and their thoughts. Now, of course, if it's positive, then that's a good thing, right? You definitely want positive, reinforcement from other people to show that you're on the right track, that other people are interested in what you have to offer. But when you're starting off, right, if you don't really have that support from other people, just be proud of your work. Whatever it is, just be proud of that, because that is what will propel you forward. And that's when you're taking inspired action, when you're doing essentially what you were put on this planet to do. And that's to have fun and to create. The power of creation is what we've been given, and that's an ability that will never ever be taken away from us. So that's what makes you special. That's what makes you unique. The power to create, whatever it is that you want in this lifetime, right? To create the life that you want, the life that you've dreamed of. So this is how everything is connected. But of course, the overarching idea, the goal of this entire video is to just be proud of your work. Whatever it is that you do, doesn't matter how small of a scale it is. It doesn't matter where you're at along the way in your journey, right? Just know that everything that's big, that's global, everything that's become massive and successful, there was always a beginning. There was always a starting point. There was always, the first product, the first edition, the first release of something. And so you just want to make sure that you have your own support, and that you just want to trust that whatever it is that you're doing, that you're enjoying, you want to continue pushing that forward one step at a time. So once again, this is a final reminder, whatever it is that you're at in life, whatever it is that you're putting out, even if there's no eyes, even if there's no customers, if there's no consumers yet, right? Whatever it is that you're doing, be proud of your work, because one day, you'll arrive at your destination, wherever it is that you want to take it. So just wanted this video to be a brief reminder to you all. Once again, this is Joel, and I'm out. See you guys for the next video.